Hello and welcome to Fantasy Smack Talk. I'm Nameco sitting here with Dustin, and before we get into week 2, I just want to get a couple things out of the way. Yes, I'm an idiot for allowing it to happen. Yes, it hurt. I should have worn a helmet. You know, it is what it is. It's done.
Well, in case you don't know what he's talking about, it's when I hit him with a line drive over the weekend to settle a fantasy basketball bet. A couple other things. Yes, it's amazing, and yes, it's on YouTube. If you haven't seen it, you need to check it out. It's pretty funny.
I thought there was no chance he would hit me.
I was practicing.
I was lucky, but either way, we're not going to talk about it anymore. As we look at week 2, there's a lot of injuries in week 1, so we're going to go over a few guys that might be headed to the DL, already on the DL, and who you should be looking to replace him with. And the first guy we're going to talk about is Carlos Gonzalez for the Rockies. You know, we were really looking forward to his season. Came out really hot, one of Dustin's favorite sleepers. Again, played great the first few games, then he nicked up, he got a hamstring issue. He's missed a few. We're not really sure if he's going on the DL, but in case he does, a few outfielders to look at is Scott Besednik. He's batting over 400 right now with 5 bags, only owned in 35% of leagues. And my boy, Drew Stubbs, owned in 30% of leagues, center fielder for the Reds. Oh, he's amazing. I really think he can be a 2030 candidate this year. So definitely take a look at both of those guys. Next one's Miguel Montero, of course. He's on the DL. He's going to be out probably, it looks like 6 weeks at a minimum. He's got a tear in his knee, so it's with a catcher that's even worse. They're doing more tests today. It might even be longer. If that's the case, a guy to look at right now is actually Pudge Rodriguez for the National. He's batting over 400 right now. He's only owned in 20% of leagues. He could be a very serviceable catcher for you.
Moving on, we got some other big-name injuries at tough positions to fill, and we start with 2 big-name second basemen, and Aaron Hill and Brian Roberts, both on the DL, both going to be out a little while. And one good guy to look at is Kelly Johnson, only on 40% of leagues. We liked him coming into last year. He didn't really pan out, but he's off to a hot start so far this year, batting up around 368 with 3 home runs already. So definitely look at Kelly Johnson if you're looking to replace his second baseman. And next, probably the biggest injury of them all is Jimmy Rollins. I got him in both of my leagues, but what can you do? But one guy to look at is Edgar Renteria. I know he's old, but he's off to a really hot start, only on 45% of leagues. Who knows, he might have a little bit left in the tank, and he'll at least be able to give you some hits while you wait for Rollins to get back. And one other guy to look at is Chase Headley out there with San Diego. You know, he's had a lot of hype around him his first 2 years in the league, just hasn't quite been able to put it together. He's off to a hot start. This might be the year he finally has fantasy relevance.
All right, Dustin, this week's forum question comes from MeNosey28. He wants you to pick one out of these 4 outfielders for him to pick up, and it's got DeRosa, Skip Schumacher, Will Venable, or Jose Guillen.
This one's kind of easy for me. I think it's definitely Will Venable. He has by far the biggest upside, and we really think he could have a decent year. In limited at bats last year, he showed some decent power, had some speed. We think this could be a kind of a breakout year for him. Definitely pick up Venable. We think he has the biggest upside out of all those guys.
And next, we're going to get into 3 up, 3 down. We're going to talk about 3 guys that are playing great right now and 3 guys that are pretty much playing like garbage. And so our first guy is Albert Pujols, obviously on the 3 upside. Great guy to open, obviously going to have a huge year. Right now he's batting over 400 with 5 home runs and 14 RBIs, and he's going to have a ridiculous season. Next we have Nelson Cruz. He's actually batting over 450 with 5 home runs and 11 RBIs. He's one of our favorite sleepers coming into last year's season. Now his power numbers are going to be there, probably not that great of an average though. Then we have Roy Halladay. He's definitely a Cy Young candidate. In his first 2 outings, he's had 17 strikeouts, only 2 walks, a .56 ERA, and a complete game shutout against the Nationals.
I guess that's pretty good.
Yeah, not bad, not bad.
All right, now let's get into the guys that are just playing like garbage, and we start with Chris Carpenter. We hated him coming into the year for where he was going in drafts. We thought it was way too much of a risk, and he's off to a terrible start. So his owners are not going to be happy right now. If you can trade him and get decent value for him, we say go for it. Because if he has a couple more bad starts, you're going to have a hard time getting value for him. Next, we got another pitcher in Justin Verlander. We actually really like him for a buy low guy right now because he got off to the same slow start last year, but then turned it around and had a decent year. And the last guy is Teixeira for the Yankees. Terrible start. I always like it when Yankees do that. I don't know why.
That's out of a Twins fan, of course.
0 home runs, batting in the low 100s. You know, he will probably turn it around, or he will turn it around, but it's just unfortunate for his owners right now. But that's it for this week's show. Brent's got to get home. He's got to ice his chest down. I think it's hurting him a little bit. But
Funny guy. This one over here.
I'm Dustin. This is Brent.
Funny guy.
We'll see
He's
you next week.
hilarious.